President Trump is ramping up pressure for Attorney General Pam Bondi to move forward with cases against former government officials accused of weaponizing the government against him. The president taking to Truth Social over the weekend, writing in part, quote, "Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia?" Today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked if the president was weaponizing the DOJ against his political opponents. Here's what she said.
No. In fact, the president is fulfilling his promise to restore a Department of Justice that demands accountability. And it is not weaponizing the Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice. And nobody knows what that looks like more than President Trump.
Let's welcome back managing editor for the Daily Signal, Tyler O'Neill. Tyler, what do you make of this back and forth? The president seems very frustrated that different mortgage fraud cases, the weaponization against government on him hasn't been turned around quickly enough at the DOJ.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump is drawing attention to tremendous scandals that happened from the Biden administration and even going back to his own time with Russiagate. And so he wants to see accountability. Many Americans want to see accountability. I think we were constantly lied to about what was actually happening with the Department of Justice. And now Trump wants to not just set the record straight, but see some people having to pay for the abuses that took place in previous years.
And now during that press conference today with Caroline Leavitt, the reporters were very up in arms with the administration, saying that they are the ones that are weaponizing the DOJ, that this is retribution, Donald Trump's angry retribution on his political opponents. What do you make of that argument?
Well, I think one of the great things about the DOJ is that through the legal justice system, you have to prove cases in court. And so when it comes to the actual cases, we will see exactly what's going on here. But I think President Trump wants to see accountability. And we've seen over and over again the Biden Justice Department and then the deep state before them going after Trump, going after, Catholics with the FBI memo last time, working with the Southern Poverty Law Center, which now, I've had a big story out today about their ties to Antifa. And President Trump is looking at investigating the organizations behind, if you can show that they're behind, some of this Antifa rioting and violence we've been seeing.
So after ousting Eric Siebert as Attorney General for the District of Virginia, Trump appoints Lindsay Halligan as a replacement. Writing on Truth Social, in part, "It is my honor to appoint Lindsay Halligan, who has been serving as Special Assistant to the President at the White House, as United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. She's extremely intelligent, fearless, and working with Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, has the strength and determination to be absolutely outstanding in this new and very important role." One of the things that the president was frustrated, and the reason why this was firing, was the fact that no charges had been leveled against Letitia James for mortgage fraud. You see the same thing with Lisa Cook, the multiple mortgages that she took out. And as we know, the president was politically prosecuted himself on similar allegations of basically what Letitia James did is she accused the president of overvaluing his real estate properties to secure better loan terms. It was a thin case, but still, it was brought.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what Trump is doing here. He's saying, we're going to call them on the hypocrisy. When they're going after me, we're going to find something after them. And unfortunately, what you have to do sometimes with this lawfare is to respond and say, look, you can't get away with this sort of thing. And so that's what Trump is doing. He's trying to bring accountability in this situation, and he wants, the shoe is on the other foot. And hopefully this will end any sort of lawfare, because we don't want the politicization of justice of the justice system. We want that to end. And President Trump is bringing accountability, and hopefully that will be the end of the matter. We can move on as a country.
And these district attorneys serve at the pleasure of the president. So if the president doesn't like the job you're doing, he's more than entitled to fire you. What do you think about Pam Bondi? Is she on good footing or not? There's been a few mistakes that she's made, the release of the Epstein files to the influencers being one. She also had an interview with Katie Miller last week where she said that they were going to go after hate speech and criminalize hate speech, which is constitutionally not allowed. So do you think that Pam Bondi might find herself in some hot water here?
Yeah, she walked that back and was very clear that she didn't mean to be going after hate speech. She believes, as all Americans should believe, as our Constitution says, that free speech is protected across the board, even opinions that we find distasteful. The only limits on free speech, of course, are incitement to violence, defamation, things like that. So I do think she has been struggling recently. We're going to have to see what she decides to do. President Trump has made clear that he wants more out of her, and I think she's going to listen.
And she's Senate confirmed, so if he were to fire her, he'd have to have another nominee go through Senate confirmation. We know the Senate is pretty log-jammed at this moment, trying to avoid a shutdown at the end of this month. However, you know, going back to the DOJ and the accountability issue with Adam Schiff, with Comey, with Mueller, with all of the people who just weaponize the system completely against President Trump, do you think that part of the reason why President Trump is putting this pressure on Bondi right now is because the statute of limitations is about to run up in a lot of these cases?
Yes, we've seen many cases where a statute of limitations has run and therefore you can't prosecute. So one of the stories I covered recently this year involves a man from the CNMI. It's the Northern Marianas Islands. And the FEC found that he likely had violated the law by accepting contributions from China. But, of course, in that finding, the official legal finding, it also said, oh, the statute of limitations ran. So it's a very important issue, and I think that's one of the reasons why Trump wants to light a fire under Pam Bondi to get her to file charges before that statute runs.